Ooh, that took forever. Sorry, you guys, that we're late. We're live now. Just gonna wait on Chantrese. So we're having some technical issues. Let me add her. Okay, invited her. We're gonna get started.
The reality of living with moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease means you might be...
There goes Sherelle. Chantrese, rather. I'll be calling her Sherelle. Okay. I accepted her. This live is not working. This ain't in our favor today. It's the devil. Yeah, so can she see? It says she's unable to join. Hi. Let's see. Let's see where she is. Okay. There we go. Let's see if that works.
Here we go.
There you go.
Girl.
What happened? Instagram hating tonight.
Hold on one second. I had jumped on mine trying to add you, and then I saw when you tried to add me. Film fun. And look, we here though.
Girl, I'm like, what is going on with Instagram today?
I heard you say
They
the
don't
devil.
want us to be
I
great.
usually don't give the devil that much credit, but he working.
I know. Let me put my AirPods in.
My AirPods falling out. Hello, darling. You hear me okay?
Okay, we're good. Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me good?
I can hear you.
We good. We got a little check. Okay, so welcome to another installment of Grown Women Business, featuring me, your host, Robyn Jasmine, and my co-host, Chantrese Sherelle. So we decided to do this live series, IG live chat series. We don't know where this is going to go to, but you know, we have a lot of mutual interests and we like to talk about it. And, you know, we figure like, you know, why not talk about it in front of a live audience, or, you know, and hopefully this grows into something major where we could do live shows and conferences.
Absolutely.
And TED Talks and, you know, all that kind of good stuff. So this week, if anybody has looked at the flyer, we are talking about, this is a spiritual conversation today. And the topic is faith over fear, which this came out of nowhere because I know we have a lot of topics in the arsenal that we kind of want to talk about, but for some reason this one just stuck out. And I think when I asked you, I was like, so what do you want to talk about next week? And he was like, spiritual. I'm like, okay, you know, I'm
and
with it.
It's timely, right? With everything
it's
going
so
on.
Timely with everything going on right now. So how did you want to start it off, Chantrese?
I think like we talked about, let's start off with prayer. I'm going to let you lead because, I mean, it's just so much going on. And I don't know. I think sometimes it's easy to neglect our spiritual practices, but I mean, sounds like this really reminds us how important it is just to be great, have gratitude for what we do have and where we are in life, and then to lift others in prayer who may be going through challenges. So I think it'll be great if we start off that way.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going to start off with a quick prayer. I'm sure a lot of people have witnessed or have seen on the news or on social media, there was another tragic school shooting that just happened in Texas yesterday, where I believe the total number was about 19 people killed, 18 children, one teacher or two teachers. So just very scary times. This is not the first mass shooting. Remember, I think just a week ago, there was a shooting in a grocery store in New York, targeted, a targeted shooting.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of our hearts and minds are very weary and are very just the only way that I can describe how I feel in regards of a school shooting is scared to leave the house, scared to go to, a church or a grocery store or, and I'm not a mother, so I can't just imagine how certain mothers or parents feel about sending their
Right.
children to school, depending on what the age range of some of our viewers. I remember when Columbine was the first school shooting that happened when I was in school. I don't know how old I was then, but it was national, news, and for that to still continuously happen every year
Yeah.
shows that there is a problem with our judicial system, which we can talk about too as well. But let's go ahead and start the prayers. So, Father God, we come to you tonight, thanking you for your grace and your mercy. We just want to come to you tonight. We are very weary with the ways of the world, and we know that the Bible says when two or more are joined, then you are here. So with Shantrice and I, and the limited number of people that we have on this line, we know that your presence is felt. We ask that you just cover us, cover our families, cover our friends, cover strangers, cover everybody that is feeling an impact of the events that is going on in the world today, from the mass shootings to the war in Ukraine to just the day-to-day struggles that we are struggling with. We ask that you cover us and give us peace. We do not know the day nor the time with your father's arrival, but we are certain that he is, judgment day is coming, and that we're just, I got a little, we're just, we know that you are the God of all gods. So you see everything, you hear everything. And, we know that you are walking with us, even if we can't see it, but we know that we can feel it. So we just ask that you just cover everybody that we have come in contact with, and give us some peace as we go about our days. And in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. That's great.
So that was my prayer. I stumbled a little bit because I'm not
It's
used
all
to
right.
praying on live.
It's all
so
right.
um So the topic today is faith over fear. So I'm gonna let Shantrice lead. I do have a few little tidbits that I was able to pull up some stuff and things, obviously that I'll
Okay.
talk about too. But like, what's your thoughts with faith?
I guess I want to start off with a question. I'll answer
Okay.
first. What does spirituality or faith mean to you in these moments? And I think for me, it kind of goes back to your prayer. When nothing makes sense, we have to remember that like everything makes sense when it's all following God's order or his divine purpose. I'm not someone that watches the news. I stopped
Mm-hmm.
watching the news years ago just because I felt as though it caused me to live a life of fear. And so I
Mm-hmm.
honestly didn't really know about what was taking place until I got on Instagram, sadly.
Mm-hmm. So
And
I
just,
know.
yeah, and I feel as though I think there's a part of me that's still processing, how to feel. Because if you, I mean, you follow me on Instagram and you know me, I try to live a life full of optimism and, don't worry
Mm-hmm.
about this, don't worry about that. But like you said, I can't imagine being a parent now having to send my kid to school. Like, how
Mm-hmm.
do you be optimistic about that when the reality is either they come home or they don't? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for me, I think in this moment, I'll speak about like present day circumstances. Spirituality to me means, it almost means surrender. Surrender
Mm.
in terms of just allowing things to be what they are, even though they don't make sense, they don't make us feel good, but just allowing things to be what they are, to feel what we feel, but to also know that it doesn't make sense, but to God, it all makes sense today. You know what I mean? And that's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
honestly where I am right now in terms of like spirituality in this situation alone.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say for you? What does spirituality mean for you right now?
Um, well, I grew up in the church, like a
Mm-hmm.
typical black family. We had a church. where we went to every Sunday and, was baptized and all those things. So I think as I got older and I became an older adult and I started having more of my own life experiences, I started to separate spirituality from religion because those
Absolutely.
are two different things. And sometimes growing up in the church and seeing some of the things that happen in church, you start to lose your faith in religion because you may have people who you may be under their direction and they're not living a life of, like a godly like life. So you start to lose faith in religion. So you start to separate from the church. So as I gotten older, I believe that spirituality is your relationship with the higher power. And then even to take it a step further, I think I mentioned this book a lot when I talk to people, but I read this book called The Last Barracudas by Zora Neale Hurston. And pretty much it is her interviewing the last living slave. So this book was about 1940 something, don't quote me, but when she interviewed him, he was well into his 90s. So with him being into his 90s, he was able to recollect his time back in Africa. So the questions that she were asking him was there a God? Like when you were in Africa, before you got kidnapped and became a slave, was there a God? Did you guys have church? Whatever. And he said, no, he's not like how we know it to be. There was no white Jesus with blue eyes and no hair. There was none of that. But back then, in that time, they did have someone or something that they prayed to. They did have a connection, a spiritual connection. So as I gotten older, I believe that what I think about spirituality is your connection with your higher power, whatever that may be, very separate from religion. I think religion can get really skewed, and it's not always what we think it is. So, how I feel now, I think that I have gone through a lot in my life as far as where I've had some things happen where that's your grandmother's prayers.
Right.
That's something protected
Today.
you from,
Right.
So because something protected you from some destruction or whatever, so I know that there is something out there that covers me, and I know that that's what that is. So
And I would agree. For me, I think, well, I know growing up, I was taught that God was someone or something to be feared. So it was almost like you had to walk the straight and narrow because you didn't want to be punished by God. And then, like you said, as I got older and I started to question things, I've always been inquisitive, and I've always been the type of person that when something don't make sense, I gotta ask a question. Like I just can't go along to get along because it makes sense to you. And so I started asking questions, doing research and reading. And much like yourself, I can't subscribe to the idea of religion. It just it doesn't fit me. It doesn't feel right, so to say. It doesn't feel loving. It doesn't feel like it allows for room to grow and expand as an individual. And so for me, spirituality all the way. I do believe in God. I'll even go to church from time to time. And it's something that I enjoy, but I'm in a place now where I can take what works and leave what doesn't work. And I think that's part of
take the meat, spit out the bones.
There you go. Yep. And that's something that's become extremely important to me, and just talking to people, like letting people know God can work through imperfect people. I curse, I drink, and God still bless me. Like he be working shit out for real. You know what I mean? So like you said, it's like, oh yeah, that was God, because hands off, I ain't have nothing to do with that. And so that, especially in times like this, it is important to me that people understand that God just is, meaning we don't have to box him in. We don't have to feel as though we have to have things perfect or in order. I believe that God wants to work through imperfect people, because that's how you see his power. You know what I mean? And I don't know, that's one of the things that I feel like foundationally we have to get to, like being comfortable with asking those questions that grandparents may feel is like, you don't question God, but actually I got a few questions. I got a few questions, right? And so
so speaking of, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Would you date someone who did not share your same spiritual views?
I actually, yeah.
Or had a completely like opposite, like atheist type, views?
Atheist? No. I and this is why for me, my spirituality keeps me grounded in terms of like a certain moral code, just
Mm-hmm.
a certain way of doing things. You know what I mean? Like just
Mm-hmm.
trying to be a good person all around. And so it's also important that in the idea of submission or like being led in a household, that I'm being led by somebody that also has a standard or something that's guiding him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Different religious beliefs, sure. I love to learn. I love the idea of being open to um, different ways of thinking and different ways of doing things. And if you study the religions, there are a lot of similarities within each one. If we talk about religion, but it's just
Mm-hmm.
important to me that somebody is led by a spiritual something that kind of creates a standard of living for them. But yeah, I'm open to dating somebody, yeah, of a different belief.
So I asked that because I've dated, well, when I was younger, I was in a serious relationship. I mean, I was younger, so, but he was
It
a
counts.
completely different religion. He was Islamic, I want to say, or Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
He was Muslim, and he actually converted to Islam as an
Mm-hmm.
adult because his father, I think at the time, his father had converted and his father had changed his name. So when he was born, his name was like a regular black name, like Johnson or
Right,
Jones,
right,
something like
right.
that. And then when his father converted, his father changed his name and his last name was now Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
So I think his name changed when he was like maybe 12 or 13. And then he just kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I guess my last name is Muhammad. And he just kind of went with it. But then as he got older, he wanted to experiment with the Nation of Islam and what their practices was. And I remember feeling like, no, like we going
Mm-hmm.
to church, we going to a
Mm-hmm.
Baptist church, but I was
Right,
very young. I was probably 19 years old. And I think he was
right.
maybe like 24 or whatever. But um there is a certain thing I believe is being equally yoked. They
Mm-hmm.
do mention that in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I like to reference the Bible, but like you said, take the meat, spit out the bones. You have to take what
Right.
works for you because there is a lot of misconception about the Bible too as well. But we just wasn't equally yoked
Mm-hmm.
in general. And I think that the religious views or the spiritual views were very different as far as how we wanted to live our life, how we wanted to, if we wanted to have children, things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
as I've gotten older, it is not important for me. It's not important to me to be with someone or date someone who's like a Bible thumper. Like we ain't got to be beating the church door down
Right.
every Sunday and holidays
Right.
and stuff like that. But you do have to have a relationship with God. You
Mm-hmm.
have to have some sort of spiritualness about you,
Mm-hmm.
something that can ground you. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
don't, and to me, that's scary. Like if you can't,
You're just out here.
you just out here. you
Yeah.
can't, you can't
Outside.
pray. You
Yeah.
can't,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and it's not even so much about praying where you have to be TD Jakes or something like that. Like I'm not even really asking for
Mm-hmm.
that because praying is you just having a conversation, you're just talking to God,
Yep.
or whomever. But um in this day and age, sometimes even talking about, hey, so what are your spiritual beliefs when you first get to know somebody, whatever, it's almost like it's taboo. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
why is she
Mm-hmm.
asking about, so it's just
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
just food for thought, just something that I thought about. So one of the things that as a single woman that we experience, we do eventually want to be equally aligned
Mm-hmm.
with someone, and that's impossible to do if they don't share the same spiritual views.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
Okay. I get where you're going with that. And then for me too, it's just about kind of like how we start off saying, I'll speak, my grandparents are very religious.
uh-huh,
Um, a lot of people in my family, I would say, are very religious. But in terms of the actual fruit of that religion, for me, I like to live a life that um, I feel the power of God. Like I feel like I'm being empowered by something. I don't see God as something that is supposed to, or someone that is supposed to place like limits in terms of what I am capable of doing.
right.
And I think the biggest thing for me with religion was I found that people were satisfied with having just enough. And
Mm,
to
mm-hmm,
me, that idea alone goes against everything. When I like listen to sermons and when I read the Bible, how I interpret like God and his purpose for our lives and, you know, what he wants us to experience in this world. So to me, having somebody that at least, like you said, is spiritually backed by something, and in terms of us being equally yoked, we agree on like things like there's no limits in life. Allowing children the space to grow and evolve, allowing them, for me, I want my children to choose like what not religion, what spiritual practices work for them. Because I remember how it felt to go to church every Sunday. I'm like, dog, this ain't working for me. But I got what, 15 more years with it? You know what I mean? Like I wasn't, it just didn't sit right with me as a kid, being forced to do something where I didn't have a full understanding of what it meant, why I was doing it, that kind of thing. So those are the things I would say now in terms of raising children and being equally yoked with someone in terms of spirituality. Those things, like the core beliefs about how we're going to manage our household, how you respect me as a woman, how you, I don't want to expect me to respect you as my husband, but where you see my place in the role of a wife. Those are the things that we can get to the nitty gritty of that, and we kind of on the same page with that. What works for you spiritually, that's you and God. That's between you and your God. You know what I mean? Or you and God. I'm not. That really doesn't bother me. And I would say a guy that I would consider like we're super close. He's Muslim, and I've learned so much from him. I just feel as though it's something about the Muslim faith. It seems to really empower Black men. From my experience, I feel as though they feel more, it's like that empowerment within self opposed to that empowerment that only comes from this idea of something else existing, if that makes sense.
So let me ask you, do you think that Black men in particular, because that's what we're speaking of, do you think that Black men feel empowered under the Nation of Islam religion or spirituality because they place their men on the pedestal? Like it's almost like I don't want to use the word like idolize, but
say it, yeah,
like it's very much is the head, the head, the neck, he everything, you know. So I feel like, and they downplay the women so much. So maybe because they downplay the women and they up the men, that's why men feel more emboldened and more empowered under that religion, because it's almost like the Nation of Islam gives them the respect that the world doesn't give them.
I was gonna say that, and that's what I think our Black men need. And I think it goes back to the idea, you know how people say like things like money will only enhance it would only make you more of what you already are. So I feel like for a man that feels entitled to certain things in a negative way, or I don't want to say narcissistic, I feel like that alone it may be the determinant factor in terms of how they then operate under that. Because like the guy I was telling you, he is very much he's a leader. He's definitely a leader, but he also respects the role of a woman and thinks that women also have their place, like are necessary in society. So if we were talking about somebody that was practicing and they had like this, they were very self-absorbed and like, I'm the leader, what you said don't matter, hell no, that's not gonna work. That ain't gonna work in no religion for me. But I think somebody that kind of like we were saying, taking what works and leaving what doesn't work, somebody that can still rationalize and be logical and take what works for them and apply it to their lives. That's what I'm looking for, or that's what would be suitable to me. Somebody that's a self-thinker and think for themselves.
So is it important to you for whatever your long-term goal is for when you like if you want to get married or if you want to whatever your long-term goal is for your relationship, is it important for, and I'm sorry guys, like this is Grown Woman Business IG Live chat series, but you know we some single millennial women, so I be throwing stuff in here. So is it important for you to have a leader, like a leader of your house, like God, man, then you, or is it God and then both y'all?
I like the idea of submission under the right circumstances.
Okay.
And I like that. Wait, what is your let's define submission? Because I could tell by your response what you define as submission and what I'm thinking.
I mean, submission, okay. Okay. Submission is really trust.
Mm-hmm.
Submission is not just me doing what you say because you are a man or because
Right.
you are my man. It is, I trust you to
Mm-hmm.
lead me. I
Mm-hmm.
trust you with my life. I trust you. So,
Yep.
submission gets a really bad rap because these new age niggas, sorry,
Tripping.
they
I'll be
want
damned.
someone to submit, but they are not leading and providing in a way that would give them submission. So I'll give
Mm-hmm.
you an example.
I know you too well. Know where
This
this
is
is
something.
going.
Okay,
Real life.
so
Amen. Whatever.
extremely independent. I am extremely I'm the alpha female. I hate that fucking term and I'm sorry, but
It
people
is what
say,
it
"Oh,
is. We
you're
had to
alpha
survive.
female," all those type of things, whatever. But please believe that when I am in the presence of a grown man, all of that tough girl shit is put away
Quick.
and I can trust you and I can relax. Now, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen very often.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely do think that I'm in the presence, as of who I'm entertaining right now, I am in the presence of a grown man. So I don't see submission being a problem if something was to
Mm-hmm.
elevate with that. But my example that I was going to give was years ago. This was at least like well over 10 years ago. So I'm living in this apartment complex, and it just so happens that we both live in the same apartment complex, like whatever. So I had an issue with my washer and dryer. And because of the hours that I worked and because I was always traveling a lot, I
Wait,
could
what is up with
never.
you and these washers and dryers? That's
I know. I just have such bad luck with my goddamn washer and dryer.
girl.
So the issue with it, whatever. So I asked him, I was like, "Hey, can you go to the leasing office for me and just put the request in, whatever?" So he was like, "Okay, sure, no problem." I think he did it, but they didn't come and fix it the next day or the next day. And I think there was something happening where I was going out of town. I needed to wash some clothes. So I was like, I think maybe 2 or 3 days had passed. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. 2 or 3 days had passed, and I was like, "Listen, you need to go into the leasing office and you need to like put me on the phone with them because how could you put in a service request and then 2 or 3 days have passed and they haven't come to fix it? Like, what's going on?" So anyway, he gets into the leasing office. Girl, this is what he said. "Hey, I got somebody on the
Hell
phone. They're
no.
really
Never
they're
mind.
really upset with you guys." So so the leasing agent was like, "Oh," and he was like, "Well, I put in a maintenance request for my friend, but you guys didn't do it." It was like, "Oh, okay. Well, we didn't know that it was an emergency." Like,
Nigga move. I got it.
listen,
I got it.
put him on the phone.
I'd have
Put him
been
on the
so
phone.
turned off.
I was so in that moment, I was like,
Nah.
never. It wasn't because I want you to go in there guns blazing. Oh, why the fuck y'all? It wasn't even like that. I need you to have some authority about yourself. Hey, how you guys doing? I put in a maintenance request a couple of days ago. You guys have not come to fix it. When can I expect an update? Whatever, whatever. Not somebody's mad at you. I
Right.
said,
Move
you
your
know
10 minute
what?
ass out the way. I
There's
got
no
it.
way.
Don't
But
worry
that's
about it.
also the
Mm-mm.
same type of guy requiring or demanding submission. No, I'm not submitting to you because you don't even know how to lead your goddamn self.
Wait, when
So
you say he was requiring or demanding, like, was he verbal about that?
yes, very
Hell
much
no.
like
Mm-mm.
because he was Caribbean, so he was very much like someone to cook and clean, and I don't
Oh,
want that.
God.
And I'm not saying that I don't do that because I have a very submissive side to me, but you really gotta like tap on that.
Jill Scott said something on the Breakfast Club interview. She said, if you can tell me what to do, you can tell me what to do. And since I
Hey,
heard that, I was like, like, I couldn't put it into words, but that's it. Because, like, you were talking
hey,
about, like, as far as my day to day, like, work, school, whatever else I got going on, like, I'm her. I got it. I like the feeling of being able to handle certain things. But when I come home or, like, when I'm in your presence, I need to feel Like you got it. You got it
I
from
want
here.
the cake to come off. So okay, so leading to my next question to segue, do you believe that there is gender roles? Because sometimes in spirituality it does teach us that, which is, I think this is a little bit backwards to thinking, but the woman is the homemaker. She takes care of the home and things like that. The guy is the provider, which is fine. But
Hmm.
do you feel like there are gender roles in
I feel
relationships
as
these days?
though I feel as though there has to be a respect for it because regardless of how much we want to be teammates and babe, I got it. Like, don't feel like you have to be like men want to hustle. Men want to provide. They want to feel like they work to accomplish something or accomplish,
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that more recently I've had to be broken out of. I don't do a good
Mm.
job with receiving help from men or even asking for help. And
Mm.
so, being open to, I guess as it stands, I guess you would call that a gender role, but I'm learning just to see it as how we were created to be functional as men and women, if that makes sense.
So
Now,
when you
that's
say
not
you have a problem asking for help, like give me an example, like what?
like we talking about a washing machine, nigga. I lift it before I ask for it. Well, that's extreme. But if let's
That's
say,
country.
listen, you gotta know. I've been that before. Like the example that you gave, I wouldn't have asked his ass for nothing else because
Oh,
I
I
I
didn't.
hate right, and I've been in this. I hate being put in a position where I see you as less than a man. Like once I see that you ain't got it, I'm kind of like check, like, all right, nigga, like I got it. Like we can, we cool, but I already
Mm.
know. Like to me, it's just certain things that I talk about my dad a lot. We don't have, or we haven't had the best relationship, but that is somebody without, like, I can call him regardless of what it is, where I'm at, what I need, he got it. And so in
Mm.
my mind, a man, and I don't know, a man has to be able to take over that role because I'm not gonna ask you, look, my daddy got it. Don't even worry about it. And now my daddy looking at you like you crazy. So now we got a big, we got a problem. So for me, that's the sense of security that I have within like the role that my dad plays. So it's important to
Mm-hmm.
me that it's just certain stuff. I feel like a man should know that he like you got to jump in and kind of take care of this.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, certain things have to be communicated, and in
Yeah.
return, because you make me feel protected, because you make sure I'm taken care of, nigga, I want to make sure you coming home to a clean house, and that when you
Yep.
come home, you can like that. That's a turn on for me. Like, you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like seeing you relax, and so in
I
that
think.
sense, gender
Mm-hmm.
roles they have their place, but I don't think it should be the expectation. Meaning, I'm tired. If it's something that need to be done in the house, like don't come and sit on your ass because that's my role. Like
Mm-hmm.
step in and help me out.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually have. Yeah. So I have a close friend of mine who is experiencing some gender role issues, I would say, in
Mm-hmm.
her household right now. I'm definitely more of I like to make my life easy, so, but I like to make my life easy. So with that being said, something easy is like, if I can Instacart my groceries, I'm gonna Instacart them. I'm
Right.
not gonna stress myself out by going to the grocery store, whatever. But if it is a requirement, which is so funny because because I've just had a recent conversation where, he said that, a home cooked meal 2 or 3 times a week is a requirement. And I was just like, okay, like, but think about when a man says that a home cooked meal 2 or 3 times a week is a requirement, then my mind starts to think like, okay, well, that means I gotta have all of the ingredients, I gotta have all this stuff. So how can I make that easier for me to make sure that I have all of the stuff to cook you a meal 3 times a week, even though I still work and still,
Right.
have children and things like that. So I think that I have no problem with certain gender roles because, hey, if
Mm-hmm.
you want a home cooked meal, if you want a clean house, whatever, absolutely, I have no problem doing it. But you have to be also doing your part too as well. And then one of the things that I have been saying, which I feel like this is going to be my theme of the year, a lot of people think that the foundation to a lot of relationships and friendships is love. It's not. It's respect. So if you respect me as your
Absolutely.
equal, as your partner, as
Mm-hmm.
the mother of your children, or as your wife, or whatever, if you respect me in this partnership, then I don't mind going
The
above and
world is
beyond for
yours,
you.
right?
The world is
Mm-hmm.
yours because you
Yep.
respect me. Now, how do you feel about, since this is a conversation about spirituality, how do you feel about certain religions that allow men to have more than one wife or more than one romantic partner?
Won't work for me. And this is a conversation I've had with the Muslim. We talked about it, and he explained it in terms of the way that it began. It was supposed to be like a community effort, meaning like we were talking about, women carry or have so many roles. So
Mm.
the idea of community was so that everything gets taken care of and one person doesn't feel burnout. So maybe you have a wife that
Mm.
makes sure that the kids are straight. Then you have a wife that makes sure other areas are straight. Nigga, that's not gonna work for me. Like, I'm your wife. I need to feel like Superwoman. I need to feel like I can do it all. Absolutely not.
Mm.
Because I just feel as though for me, like we're talking about, the foundation of relationships is respect, and it's also friendship for me. But I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel as though you can really give your all in terms of making sure that you are the greatest version of yourself as a partner. If when I piss you off, you can go holler at her. The issue
Mm.
never gets resolved. You just go deal with somebody that's not stressing you out in the moment. And for me, that
Mm.
that wouldn't work. And I'm a Scorpio. I'm very I have a jealous streak. Not jealous in terms of you being better than me, but like I want your time. I want us to figure it
You're
out. I want it to
territorial.
be in me and you. Yeah, girl. I am. So that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work for me. Mm-mm. What about
You
you?
know, I, I,
Robyn.
I, this new age Robyn, I am really open minded.
Okay.
I,
Robyn. Really? Wait. Is this okay? Hold on. Going back to the idea of, I think certain men have the potential to make you comfortable with certain things because of who they are.
Mhm,
Like if they're esteemed, they have a sense of integrity, that kind of thing. Do
mhm.
you feel like it's more so the person that you are talking to now makes you feel more open to that? Hmm. I get it.
Oh, you ain't shit.
I get it because, like I told you, it's certain things that I wasn't open to in terms of just like being more soft, or like letting somebody else take care of things. Like I went and got my car fixed the other day, and I got chewed out because I ain't like, damn, sorry. Like I didn't know you wanted to know how much you know what I mean? Like small stuff like that.
I definitely, I, I'm not subscribing to the traditional uh thoughts of what a relationship is supposed to be and supposed to look like. I'm not,
Mhm.
I'm not doing that
I
anymore.
agree. I agree with that.
I think that that is what has hindered me in my adulthood, thinking that I was supposed to have a certain type of
Yep.
relationship, and my relationship was supposed to look a certain kind of way, and and those things didn't work for me. So I am
Mhm.
opening my mind up to different new ways of being in a relationship or being in whatever. Now, with that being said, I'm just being very completely and truly honest, not even based off of what this new person is saying or this old person or whatever, just about stuff that I have read and the research that I have done. In my mind, you have some who can, but not all men are meant to be with one woman.
I
I
believe that.
truly, in my mind, physically think it's impossible for them to be physically committed, physically now, committed to one woman. I think that emotionally they could be,
Uh-huh.
mentally they could be, but I do think a man, and this goes back to hundreds of so years ago, because remember, like that book that I read, he said in the book that also he came from a large family. He had a father. His father had multiple wives, and this was back in Africa where we originated from. So I think this is something that is just ingrained in men, that they can't be physically uh, um, exclusive to one person. Now, are there some men that can do it? Absolutely. There are some men who can do it. There are some men who would never cheat on their wives. There are some men who would, whatever. They are few and far in between. And I think that when men start to become honest with themselves and with their
Bingo.
partner and say, listen, hey, Chantrice, hey, Robyn, I like you, I love you, I want to be with you. But every now and then I may fuck another bitch or two. I'm sorry. but
But am I allowed to have this? Are we gonna keep that same energy across the board?
that's another thing. The energy definitely needs to be kept across the board.
That ain't.
So, but obviously there's a double standard. They don't want that, whatever. But if they remember the whole thing that came out years ago with the hall pass comment, that Toya Wright had gave her
Yeah.
previous husband a hall pass, and it was just almost like, let's be for real, like.
But where's the respect in that? When you talk about respecting me as a female, I feel like a big part of who I am as a female, the part of me that is going to nurture your children, make sure that you are fed emotion. Like my emotions mean something. And so how I don't understand where like honor and respect and that thing comes in if I'm allowing you an out in that sense. And for me, I don't think monogamy is natural, but I think that's what makes it so beautiful. I truly
Oh
believe that
yeah,
monogamy is like a man that can be monogamous to me that suggests a certain level of maturity and self-control. And that's to me,
absolutely,
that's an esteemed man to me. Like I love that shit. A
absolutely,
man that has self-control. And then going back to what
absolutely.
you said, like this is or that's how it was in Africa, is that shit working for us as a black community? Like I feel like we spend so much of our time as black people fighting, like we're not teammates in that sense. Like so much of our
Yeah,
time is spent like, oh, I don't trust you because you did this shit 5 years ago, and you
yeah,
know who you texting on your, like it's so much of that shit going on that we miss out on the opportunity to really be teammates and build as a culture.
yeah.
So
I
maybe
think
that's how things were, but maybe it's not working for us. Maybe as we are evolving as people, we have to now put the responsibility on men to say, hey, that shit ain't working no more. Like, I need you to work on being monogamous, or like you said, be honest about it. If it's not
yeah,
something that you can do, deuces, that's not gonna work for me. But I respect the
yeah.
fact that you gave me a choice.
Yes.
You
And I think
positioned me to
that
have
is
a choice.
the thing that I haven't experienced was I was never given a choice.
Hmm. Because you're
Never
a good ass
given a
woman.
choice. And it was just like, so you just did this to me and you play with my emotions or you hurt my emotions or whatever because you didn't give me a choice to say you wasn't honest with yourself. So because you wasn't honest with yourself, then that led you to be dishonest with me as your partner. So, regardless if this is, the biblical days where a man had multiple wives and things like that, if you know that that is something that you want or something that you struggle with, whatever, then you need to let me know so that I can make a decision on whether or not if I want to stay in a relationship with you and build a future with you. Because you don't know what I'm going to say. I
Hmm.
may say, hey, this doesn't work for me. I wish you the best of luck. And we go our separate ways. Or, hey, I may say, okay, well, I'll give you a hall pass. Listen, my grandmother told me years ago, God rest her soul, she told me that every man cheats, you know,
Hmm.
uh, long as he don't bring it home, long as it ain't coming knocking on your door, long as the respect is still there in a sense, the love is still there, the house is still taken care of. Like basically, she said it in a sense to where as long as nothing is lacking and you can't even tell that he's giving anything out to anyone else, any energy, any time, and whatever, because whatever she said. So I'm not saying that what she
Maybe that's
said
not why. But
was
maybe that's why it won't work for me because I can like I don't know if that's well no that is part of my spiritual gifts. I can always tell when something is wrong. I don't give a damn if you had a conversation. Like I can always tell when something is off with my partner, and that shit would wreck my. Maybe that's why I can't do it. And my thing too is that going back to the idea that men are only good for like the only provision that we should expect from men is financial provision. I don't. I would much
no.
rather have. But then once for me, I'm a
Once you
like
cheat,
loyalty is my thing. I can't
yeah.
like it's not. I don't like what is this? And the crazy thing is, it is maybe I would put my money on one guy that I've dealt with. That's why when
Mm.
one guy that I dealt with, I wouldn't. I would put money on him. I don't think he would ever do nothing crazy. But we just they used to call us oil and water. We just like that submission, that softness that I wanted to have with him. He's very aggressive, and like we used to get into it about that a lot. Like, why the hell you so? But he like this. Just I'm just being me. So from
Right.
that aspect, we couldn't work. But in terms of like trust, like I don't think And I think that's because he was so honest with me. He didn't give a damn about hurting my feelings. He was gonna tell me
Yeah.
what it was, but I had a respect for that. And
Right.
I don't think I would ever. I don't think I would have ever questioned. I don't know, but that's something I can't. I can't do other women, and because I respect women so much, like you never gonna position me to feel ill, like have ill feelings towards another woman. Can't do it, and not at this point in my life.
I don't I don't want to knowingly do it, you know. I don't want to knowingly go into it, but I am open-minded. Maybe we can take shelf this conversation for another
That's fair though.
subject.
I
But
appreciate the
I'm
different
open
perspectives.
to the honesty because I feel like the honesty is more important to me. It's almost like the honesty is more important to me than the loyalty. But I'm not very clear on that part yet.
That makes sense
But
though. I get
you know,
what you mean by
don't
that.
lie to me. Don't lie to me. Don't have
Hmm.
me out here looking crazy. I think that's another
Yeah,
thing. Like, don't have me out here
yeah,
looking crazy. Give me an opportunity to defend myself. Give me
yep.
an opportunity to position myself in the light that I want to be seen.
Bingo.
Give me an opportunity to, you know, work within myself with certain things that I may need to separate or to whatever. Give me an opportunity to do something to
Hmm.
defend myself before I am, you know, just shocked. Oh my God, he cheated. Oh my God, he got a baby on the way. Oh my God, like all type of shit that I
Girl.
have gone through where, you know, you just the shit just be coming from left field and just like, damn, why you ain't tell me? Like if you told me, I could
Yes.
have, you know, did whatever, you know. So
Hmm.
in
That's
regards
something that I
to
always say. Like, don't
yeah.
let a woman, like, if I'm defending you, if I'm caught off guard, I'm trying to defend you as my husband or whatever, don't let a woman's strongest defense be that she could tell me some shit about you that you should have told me. Because now I'm fucked up.
That
I'm
I
thrown
don't
off.
Yep.
And now I'm mad because like she got me looking crazy because she's telling me some stuff you could have told me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's always
Yep.
been my thing. That's always been
Yep.
my thing. Um,
So I mean, with that, I am open minded in a sense. I'm not dumb. I think that's what it is. So I'm not crazy. I want to be realistic with certain things, and I think that you know. But however, like you said, it is beautiful. Monogamy is beautiful. If a man can provide monogamy and all those things, that is to me that's a unicorn. So that would be I would welcome that as well. But I also want to walk into something with both feet in, both eyes open. I don't want to be walking to something blind, like, oh, I ain't know.
oh, I got a question
So
about that. One more
go ahead.
question.
Hmm.
Is the idea of monogamy, would you say, or the lack thereof, would you say that falls more so under a spiritual practice or religious practice?
Mm.
Because when I think about spirituality, like we talked about having it creates like certain I don't want to say morals, but it gives you something to it kind of creates parameters.
Mm.
Um, and in terms of things that take us further away from the idea of like God and being the best versions of ourselves,
Mm.
I would think having multiple partners may do that.
Having multiple partners definitely it depletes you it depletes you
Hmm.
emotionally. So for sure. But
Yeah.
I think maybe it will fall underneath their spiritual
Okay.
because of the moral code and what standard they hold themselves to. I think
Okay.
uh religion is too black and white,
Hmm.
and even the black and white don't make sense
Hmm.
because
I agree.
in this first part of the Bible it'll say this, and then in the second part of the Bible it'll say something completely different. So religion is too black and white. So I think that if a man says that he wants to be monogamous to his partner, he that's because he holds himself to a higher standard,
He
and
made
that falls
that
underneath
choice.
his moral code, which falls underneath spirituality for me.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
once again, a beautiful thing. um, you know,
We got to get some men. Okay, we got to make this a
I
segment. We
know
got to get some men on, and let me think. We got to think of some people that will make for a good conversation.
we do need some men on. Like, let me see,
Hmm.
we got some men on here. Is there any man who's listening right now who wants to
I feel
join
like the
in
person
really
I was.
quickly?
Hold on, let me see something. How can we tell?
I can see who joined. I just can't see. Somebody make a comment if you are a black man and you
I
want
want to call two
to.
people out, but I'm not gonna do it.
Why?
Mm-mm. Nope. Come on, y'all.
They scared. Are y'all scared? We only
They're
got
not
6 people
scared.
viewing.
That's all right.
I don't know a lot of.
How can we tell? I don't know how to tell who is viewing.
I don't know
I'm gonna
either.
click off of it.
Let me
Oh, here we
see.
go.
No. Wait.
Ooh, I'm about to make a mess.
Well, we can always
We'll make that a segment.
shelf it for next time. We can invite. Oh, I actually have somebody who I can invite. Is this guy? He's based out of Chicago. Dope.
What is his?
Why
Is he a
would I say
Muslim? Is he
Chicago?
Muslim?
When I said that the last time, you got some beef with Chicago?
No, not at all. Is he a Muslim?
I don't know. I don't think
I bet
so.
money. Oh, okay.
I don't know. Okay, so getting back to topic, with this being faith over fear, what does fear mean to you?
What does fear mean to me?
Mm-hmm.
Fear to me means the absence of confidence in something or somebody higher than me. Meaning, in situations where maybe I feel like I I fall short, that's when it's like, all right, God, but you got it. Like whenever we get on live, I said, speak for me. Like just let me be the vessel. And so I think, to me, fear means the absence of like that belief system that whatever it is you are tasked with, you have the capability to do it.
Okay.
Maybe once you say your definition, I can expand some. But to me, that's what it's like. Boundaries. Fear creates boundaries.
Fear to me is a highly emotional response to. I know. Because it is. It's a highly emotional response to. And it is, like you said, scientific. It is almost like a biochemical thing in that we have in us. So for me, it's a highly emotional response to something that we are that is unknown, and it gives us anxiety. So whether you have even from the smallest things to where you have fear of walking to your car in the middle of the night because it's dark outside and you don't know who could be, so you're scared of like some kind of physical danger, or you may have a fear of some type of emotional danger, where you may feel like anxiety, like speaking in front of a group of people, or sometimes people have fear of walking into crowded spaces and things like that. So I just think that fear is just a highly emotional response to something that we feel is coming, like imminent danger, whether it's physical danger or emotional danger. So with that being said, if that's fear, then what's faith?
1 second. Do you feel like fear is innate, or is it learned behavior or a learned response? And the reason
I think it's innate. I don't think you could learn it.
But then think about like the child that walks casually out into the street because they don't understand the fear of being hit, or they don't understand that they should fear being hit by a car because that could ultimately cause them to be hurt or to die. So where does that and the reason I asked about that in particular is because as a parent, you would naturally, pull them back. You can't do that. You can't run in the parking lot because you may get hit by a car. And then the child is conditioned and then say, oh shit, like I can't just be running out in the parking lot because I may get hit. But when you think about, but there are certain things like research like on depth perception, like where children learn early on, like the way that it's set up and they feel like falling. So I don't know. I really don't. That was kind of like a rhetorical question because I don't. In some instances, I think it could be innate, but then in other instances, it's like learned behavior. And that's one of the reasons I don't watch the news, because I felt myself being fearful of stuff that in the grand scheme of things, you can't avoid it. What's gonna happen is gonna happen. So I may as well just
Mhm.
live and pray and
Keep it
trust
moving.
and have
Mhm.
faith that
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, because you do run into some children that are fearless, or you be like, oh, he
hmm
ain't afraid of nothing. He just jumped head first, whatever.
hmm
So maybe it is a learned behavior. I do believe it's an emotional response, but maybe it's something that we learn. Like you said, somebody grab you, like, don't do that, don't do that.
right,
So then
right.
now you like, oh shit, like So
hmm
that's a good thing. That's a good
Yeah.
statement. So with that being said, though, like, so then is faith the opposite of fear? Because even if, and I asked that because that's what I was taught in church, that
Uh-huh.
how can you be fearful of something when you supposedly trust God and it's going to
Bingo.
work out and he's going to do whatever. So faith, fear is the exact opposite of faith, because now you're telling God that you don't trust that he's going to work it out for you. But
But then, oh, go ahead.
because here's where it gets blurry. Here's where religion gets blurry for me with the faith. Now I have
hmm
faith all day, but
hmm
there is something where it's like, sometimes the church will make you believe, oh, we'll just have faith, God gonna turn it around. A
Yeah.
person can't have faith, and just faith alone is gonna cure them of diabetes or cure them of this. They have to put some action behind their faith. Faith without work is
Faith without
dead.
works is dead. Yep.
So I have faith that if I change my eating habits and I start to exercise more and I start to drink more water, start to do whatever, that
hmm
I am doing the work, and I have faith that God is going to take that
Do the
diagnosis
rest.
away from me.
Yep.
And that's a very
Absolutely.
small thing, because there's certain other illnesses and things like that that you can't, that, you could, but you can't. Or, also faith that, oh, I know my rent gonna get paid. I don't know, but I got faith that a check gonna come through in the mail. No, that's not how faith works.
hmm
You have to go and put some work in. So you have faith that I'm gonna get up and go to work today,
hmm
and that's how I'm gonna pay my bills. And maybe when I go to
hmm
work, God, let's say I'm a waitress and God drops somebody to give me $1,000 tip on it, like something, but I still got to do the work to get up and go to work to be able to
Right.
receive that blessing. So
Right.
sometimes faith can keep you stagnant, where all you're doing is just praying and praying and praying. And it's just like this joke I seen where this lady said, or this guy said, like, God, I prayed to you for years to win the lottery. He was like, well, you ain't never go play. I was going to
Right.
let you win it, but you ain't go
Right.
play your number. So how does
hmm
that work? The faith
I
aspect.
think for me now, I think faith. I don't want to say a learned behavior. Well, no, it has been a learned behavior for me. I remember, like, I would say late teens, early 20s. I struggled with depression bad. I mean, it was to the point where I didn't want. It was times I didn't want to be here. Like, just take me. I can't do this. I always felt like it
Mm,
didn't belong to me, but I didn't know how. I didn't know. I didn't realize the power that I had in it. I was doing the work. I was going to therapy. I was going to church. I was praying. I was da 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 da. And I literally remember it was two instances where I remember like something clicked for me. The first being, I think it was like my 21st birthday. I remember it was a morning and like my depression was just really bad.
mm,
Went to church and they sang Open the Floodgates of Heaven. And I remember just sitting there and like I was just crying. And I was like this is not what's up.
mm,
And I remember thinking in that moment, like, God, if you are real and you see me trying, you see like my struggle, like, what is it? Like, why? Like, why are you tormenting me at this point? Because I'm saying it doesn't, like, I can't do it. I don't want to do it, but I'm still experiencing this. And then the second thing for me was, so that was when I feel like I was in my state of questioning God. And
mm,
when I got comfortable questioning God. And then I remember it being a day where I really had a moment where I was like, I feel like I am not going to be depressed anymore. And I will tell you, Robyn, since I made the decision to like set
mm,
faith without, like when I made the decision that I wasn't going to feel depressed anymore, like I feel like that's when the change happened. So I guess
mm,
me going to church and doing things out of formality, I thought that was the work, but the work was really saying, okay, I'm not meant to be depressed. I'm not going to be depressed anymore. And once I stop acting depressed, meaning even in
mhm,
situations where maybe I didn't feel my best, but still getting up trying to meet the mark, that's when I saw the change happen. And that's when I personally had my first experience of understanding uh like what faith really is. Faith in the sense of,
mm,
yes, I have the faith. that now that I've said this is not for me or this doesn't belong to me or I'm healed in a sense, and now that I'm putting in the work on that and I'm actually doing things differently and not just doing things out of formality, now I
Mm,
understand the power of God and what faith really is. That's
mm,
always had my faith has always been me being back in the corner of some sort or well, when you said the thing about like financial stuff, like younger, when I needed something, I never worried about where it was gonna come from.
mm,
And sometimes I think that can be good and bad, but that's just how I have like Mike Todd says crazy faith, and sometimes it
mm,
don't even make sense to me. But I've gotten to the point in my life where I'm like, I know I have purpose. I know like I can see God working through me. So I know that
mhm,
anything that happens, like any situation I'm faced with, like He has, like God ain't gonna, like God cannot fail me. You know what I mean? So even
mhm,
in situations where it's like, oh, that ain't really how I wanted to work out. For some reason, it was necessary that it worked out that way to increase my faith. I might not see it today or tomorrow, but down
mhm,
the line, that's just another notch in my belt in terms of my faith. So for me, faith has been
mhm,
definitely learned behavior. It has not been
mm.
something when I was just doing things out of like this is what you're supposed to do, it didn't work for me. So faith has definitely been something that I've learned and walked in.
Yeah, I think for me, faith is my experiences with faith has just been really me taking a chance,
Mhm.
not knowing what's on the other side, but I have faith that God gave me, intuition. He gave me good sense. It's a lot
Absolutely.
of people walking around here who are not in their right mind, you know.
Mhm.
So I have faith that God put me in my right mind. I can make really good decisions. So at least I try to make the best decisions.
Right.
So, you know, faith for me is just always taking a chance, betting on myself. Hey, I don't know how it's going to work out, but I have faith that it's going to work out, and I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure that it works out. And I'm
Yep.
pretty, and I'm hoping that I am rewarded in the sense to where God sees that me trying.
Mhm.
Um, one of the most examples that I have of faith is when I moved from Miami
To
to
Georgia.
Atlanta,
Mhm.
and I didn't know. Packed up my car, packed up my apartment, and was just like, I'm out.
Right.
Didn't
Right.
really have a reason, in a sense. I mean, I wanted to leave Miami because Miami was just entirely too expensive. It was very dangerous, to live there. It's dangerous everywhere, but it's really dangerous down there. And, I was very scared, but I was just like, I have faith that it's going to work out. Something is going to happen that would not have happened if I would stay.
Mhm.
So, of course, in my young mind, thinking, I'm going to get married. I'm
Girl.
gonna find somebody. Child, God was like, "Yeah, lay around for
Right.
that."
So let me ask you this: in terms of
Mhm,
the conversation we had earlier today about moving,
mhm,
kind of like, I don't know, like I kind of want to position myself to be
mhm,
better off and make different decisions now. So is
mhm,
that where does I don't want to call that intuition or like our ability to like plan
mhm,
and do things that make sense, so to say. What part
mhm.
does that play in faith? Like why couldn't the moves we want to make now just be another faith move?
That's a good question. Um, I think for me, the move that I want to do to Houston is I'm struggling with it because I'm in such a good place right now that I don't
Hmm.
want to disrupt it and have to start all over.
Yeah.
Even though I have faith that God is going to work it out, I'm just like, damn, I finally got to this part in my life, 35,
Hmm. Hmm.
where I'm finally at peaceful that I've been, the most financially comfortable that I have been. I don't want to disrupt all of that for a change of scenery. Because if
Yeah.
I want a change of scenery, then I just hop on a
Travel.
plane and go to Houston, like
Right.
I'm
Right.
doing on Saturday.
Hmm.
But I don't fear it. I guess, I have a fear that, you know, damn, what if it doesn't work out? But not that it doesn't, not that it's not going to work out, but just, I've struggled to get to this part of
Hmm.
my life. I struggled, working job to job, living paycheck to paycheck, really struggling. So I feel like the fruits of my labor I can now start to see them. And I feel like if I move to Houston, like I would like to, I'm going to be stripped of that fruit because I'm gonna.
Mm.
It's almost like I'm gonna have to sacrifice
Start
this
over.
and plant a whole new tree.
Right.
So I don't
That
know.
makes
I'm
sense.
still God is still working that out through me. Some days I wake up and be like, I'm ready to move tomorrow. And then some days I'm
Hmm.
like, I want to redecorate my house.
Hmm.
Like
Right.
for some reason I've gotten super attached to the house and I don't know where that has
Hmm.
came from. I mean, I've always loved my house, but been super attached to it these last couple of
Yeah.
weeks because I feel like I put so much blood, sweat, and tears into getting this house and I don't know. So
Maybe you're at a place of peace because I know for me a lot of times when I thought I wanted to move, it was because I thought, and this can be true in certain situations, but I thought changing my location or my surroundings would automatically generate a better me. Well, no, truth,
mhm.
you got to get your shit. Like
Mhm.
you have to be the change. Like you gonna follow
Mhm.
you wherever you go.
Mhm.
So maybe that's what it is. Maybe now, like you're saying, you are able to identify the progress and
Mhm.
see where now you have peace almost,
Mhm.
and you don't feel the need to disrupt your life right now. And that's okay
Mhm.
too.
And not to say that, if I don't move this year, then I'm not going to take it off the table. It's
Mhm.
still there's still some things that I want different for my life. Maybe not this year. Maybe next year or something. I don't
Mhm.
know. Still working that out, but I'm going to have faith that
Yeah.
it's going to work out
Wherever
and
you
God is
are.
going to
Mhm.
wherever I am,
For
God is going to
sure.
do it. So, do you have
For
anything else that
sure.
you want to leave our viewers with our conversation on faith and spirituality and anything like that?
I would just say God does his best work through imperfect people.
I
And
know that's right.
I love that narrative because to me that encompasses to me what God is. That's where
Mhm.
I find my stride in my spiritual walk. That's where I feel most loved by God in my spiritual walk.
Mhm.
That's where I feel the most empowered.
Mhm.
Because he does need different people to reach different, like he needs, you and I are very similar, but we have our differences that, when we're on this live, something that you say is going to resonate with one person, whereas it may not resonate with the other, but something that I
Mhm.
say will, you know what I mean? So I
Mhm.
think in terms of just the world working in its most perfect way, quote unquote, like he needs the imperfect people to stand up and still say, I love God. God got me, and like watching work. I think
Mhm.
the day is over
Mhm.
for the overly religious doctrine, and that's just
Mhm.
not working for a lot of people, and that's okay. I think that's just
Mhm.
evolution. That's what evolution is, and evolving looks like. So I think, what I would leave with everyone is just to start where you are. Meaning, when I pray, God, look, these people got on my nerves today, but I know, like,
Mhm.
you created me to be a nice person. So I'm gonna need for you to, like, I'm gonna need for you to intervene right now because I want to pop. That's how I talk to God. I
Because
don't
I
have
want to
nothing
pop off.
else to give other than that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Sometimes me talking to God is journaling. So whatever works for you, don't
Mhm.
look to your left or your right to try and figure out how it should be done. Do what feels right to you.
Mhm.
Um, Girl, in my car, we go from Kevin Gates or Moneybag to gospel, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because when I think about God's goodness, I need to put this Kirk Franklin on because I got to get something up off me. You know what I mean? And that is
Yeah.
okay. I feel
Yeah.
like just stepping into what works for you. And so that's
Mhm.
what I would leave everybody with. That's what I want to encourage everybody to do, to be comfortable in your walk. Your walk is yours and yours alone. It's not your mama's, your daddy,
Mhm.
your grandma's, your grandpa's.
Mhm.
Look, we can all look around and see ways in which religion isn't or hasn't worked. So feel free
Mhm.
and stand firm in your decision to do what works for you.
Mhm. I
What about
received
you?
that. Um, see how the devil be working.
It's all right. What you went? I be quiet, sugar. That's okay. Yeah, that's okay.
um,
Don't get the devil that much power
um,
because we believe in God. It's all good.
you know how they say hurt people hurt people?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that transformed people transform people.
Oh, I
And
love
I
that.
feel like, and
Oh,
I
I gotta write
believe
that.
that
That's it.
sometimes we are accepting the narrative that, oh, hurt people, and it's whatever. Nah. It is your
Mhm.
responsibility to heal and transform yourself. There are so many tools and resources out here available for you to do so. There's
Mhm.
only so much that we can carry with us into adulthood and into marriage or whatever. So I believe that when you transform yourself, you are a walking and living testament of what God
Yes.
can, the work that God
Yes.
can, what He did in you. So another
Yes.
person can see that and be like, okay, well, God did it for her, He could do it for me. So I think that what I want to leave people with tonight is that it is okay to go through your different seasons, but to continue to have the passion or just continue to do some work on yourself. The
It's
more you
never
work on
ending.
yourself and heal yourself and whatever, it's going to shine a light for others to see. Whether it's, small changes that you make throughout your day. So like, you mentioned the depression, obviously that's something that I have struggled with my whole entire adult life. But then when I
Mhm.
started making different changes about my morning routine, getting up and stretching, getting up and drinking water, listening to music, whatever, then I started to change who I was. And then other people started saying, okay, damn, Jasmine in a good mood
What you
today.
doing?
Like,
Right.
so then they started, oh, you drink green tea, not like, just
Mhm.
things. So when you transform yourself, that change will be broadcasted to others and they'll want to transform themselves. So
Absolutely. And that's purpose to me. That's walking in purpose. I think sometimes I say we look for this big elaborate thing that make us feel like, oh shit, like I got purpose, like I'm walking in purpose. To me, I know a big part of my purpose is, and I'm sure you can identify with this too, like showing women the I was at a pretty low point in my life, and that's why I'm so transparent now because I don't feel like my story is not for me; it's for the next person.
mm,
You know what I mean?
mhm, mhm.
Because I know in certain like you're talking about seasons of our lives, like I'm always YouTubing shit, how to get over a breakup when I was crying in the middle of the floor. Like it was real for me. So it's
Yeah.
only right that now that I've been through that, I drop my nuggets so that maybe something that I say will help the next woman along. So that's what to me, like you were talking about transformation, not being ashamed of your story because it is
Mhm.
to help the next person. So,
Mhm.
and that's purpose. That is
Absolutely.
purpose.
We all got a story. So that was our IG Live chat series for Grown Women Business.
Yes,
Today's topic,
ma'am.
or tonight's topic rather, was spirituality, faith over fear.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do this every 2 weeks, but we did 3 weeks because I was out of
We
town
be on the
last
run.
week, and I'm
No
gonna be out of
Jay-Z,
town
Beyonce.
this week. So we're gonna
We'll
come
work it
back
out.
within another. We'll discuss it either be 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll have some more topics. But maybe when we come back next time, we'll have
Mm-hmm.
a
Some
male
gas.
a male guest. I know, like we need to vet
Uh-huh.
them. We need to interview them before first
Yeah.
and
Like
come up
don't get
with
on
a
here
good
playing.
topic because I
Yeah.
definitely think when we touched on the head of the house and all those kind of things, and I think that would be really, really amazing to have somebody who.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we could have two. We can make this like a,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that'd be
Yep.
good.
Let's
So
do it.
we're gonna shoot for June. I'm thinking June 8th.
Okay.
That's a Wednesday. And then we gonna go from there. But
Okay. That works. And two, let us know if y'all have things y'all want us to consider and discuss. Shoot us
yes,
DMs. We got a note thing on our that we share that we can just put like different ideas in. So let us know. We're open
yeah,
to
let
a
us
lot.
know. Send us a DM, slide in our DMs, and ask us,
Mm-hmm.
give us some suggestions. And we're not
Yep.
talking about. I mean, we can talk about sex, but
I want to do that live. I feel like I'll be more comfortable. Like when we talk about our live showings, our live
oh
stuff.
yeah, you want to do a live show?
Yeah, let's do that around February. Yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
that'd be cute.
yeah, we in this thing. I have
All
enjoyed
right,
sharing
well,
this space
peace
with you as
out.
always.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Indeed. All right, I'm gonna call you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.